What's up, everyone? Welcome to the June 17th edition of FanDuel Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, use the code AWESOMO when you sign up and make a deposit at PrizePicks. You'll receive 1 free month of Stokastic plus Platinum. You'll also receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100 on that first deposit. We have a 12-game MLB slate tonight. As usual, we're going to take a look at 3 of the top tournament stacks and 3 of the top tournament pitchers. Pricing in general on FanDuel is a little bit more efficient tonight than on DraftKings, which is unusual, but it does make it a little bit easier to be contrarian. You don't have just blindly great spots like you do on DraftKings. I think probably it's going to be a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun to play tournaments over there tonight. Not something I usually say, but I think that's the case tonight. Looking at the top 3 tournament stacks, number 3, Minnesota Twins taking on Madison Bumgarner tonight in Arizona. They're projected for 6% ownership with a 6% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 7% chance of being the top value stack. Bumgarner has certainly dropped off over the last couple of seasons, and this year has been no exception. He's only struck out 16.5% of hitters. He has a 4.8 xFIP, and he's allowed 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. Now he's going up against the Minnesota Twins, who on their active roster have a 157 ISO and a 116 WRC+. Individually, there are certainly some nice right-handed power bats here that can take advantage of Bumgarner when you're looking at guys like Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa in particular. Certainly really, really good spots for those guys. Number 2, the St. Louis Cardinals taking on Michael Wacha, former pitcher for the Cardinals tonight in Boston. Wacha is projected for 8% ownership, the Cardinals are projected for 8% ownership with an 8% chance of being the top scoring stack and a 6% chance of being the top value stack. Wacha has a 16.9% strikeout percentage this year, 4.36 xFIP. The Cardinals active roster has a 151 ISO and a 115 WRC+. And number 1, the San Diego Padres taking on the Colorado Rockies and Kyle Freeland in Coors Field. They're going to be very popular, but projected for 22% ownership, still with a massive 24% chance of being the top scoring stack, a 10% chance of being the top value stack. Both of those numbers clearly just insanely high given that this is a 12-game slate. Freeland has only struck out 16.5% of hitters with a 4.61 xFIP so far this season. The Padres active roster has a 107 WRC+ and a 145 ISO. Now looking at the top 3 tournament pitchers, number 3, Lucas G Alito is $9,300. He's only projected for 1% ownership with a 6% chance of being the top scoring pitcher and a 4% chance of being the top value pitcher. The reason that he's not pulling any ownership is he has a brutal matchup against the Houston Astros. Houston's active roster has a 111 WRC+ and only has an 18.5% strikeout percentage, but Giolito is relatively inexpensive, and he actually has the highest strikeout percentage on the slate at 30.7%. I'm never opposed to taking shots on the highest strikeout percentage on the slate at a reduced price tag when there's also virtually no ownership going there. Number 2, Tarek Skubal, $9,900 price tag, taking on the Texas Rangers. Skubal struck out 27.6% of hitters with a 2.83 xFIP so far this season. The Rangers active roster has a 100 WRC+ and a 23.1% strikeout percentage. Skubal is projected for 9% ownership with a 6% chance of being the top scoring pitcher and a 3% chance of being the top value pitcher. And number 1, Carlos Carrasco, $9,700 price tag, taking on the Miami Marlins. Carrasco is projected for 7% ownership with a 7% chance of being the top scoring pitcher and a 4% chance of being the top value pitcher. He has struck out 23.7% of hitters with a 3.36 xFIP so far this season. Miami has a 103 WRC+ on their active roster, but also a 23.8% strikeout percentage. So to recap, the top 3 tournament stacks on FanDuel: number 3, the Minnesota Twins; number 2, the St. Louis Cardinals; number 1, the San Diego Padres. In the top 3 tournament pitchers: number 3, Lucas Giolito; number 2, Tarek Skubal; and number 1, Carlos Carrasco.